This is the first revision video for Python for IGCSE, and today we will be just looking at simple printing to the screen and creating some variables and printing those variables out. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the fact you can just, if you want, write code straight into the Python idle. And if you press run, you'll see it runs perfectly fine, but it does execute one line at a time. So it's not really that good for writing programs, and if you want to write any substantial programs, writing straight into the idle won't work. So we're going to be writing our code into a new document. So to create a new Python, remember you go to File, New File, and this will open up. Save it in a folder that you know where to find it later on, and you can just start coding. All right. So we start off by looking at this print command. Now, print command is actually a function in Python. What function means is it's something that Python's kind of pre-coded for you to save you a bit of work, and it means that anything in the print command has to go inside of these brackets. So whenever you're dealing with a command in Python that has brackets, you're dealing with a function that Python has created for you. So when you're using the print command, Python will literally display anything you want in speech marks. All right, so what is in the speech marks can be anything. It doesn't need to make any sense. It can be in any language. It will just print it out. So if I show you this by just clicking run and run module, it will ask me to save, and you'll see it just prints out straight away anything that you put in there. So whatever is in speech marks is not case sensitive. It just literally doesn't care what you put in. You can write whatever you like. And it will run it, as you can see here. All right, so it won't point out any spelling mistakes you make, so you do need to be careful with your spelling when you're using an output command. Another thing you can do in Python with the print command is make it print out on two lines within one command. So I could say this is line 1, and then if I use the /n command and then say this is line 2, when I run this, you'll see when it runs in the other corner, it splits the line where I put the /n. Okay, so that's quite a handy little tool in Python if you want to make your code, the output of your code, look more presentable and make it easier for the user to read. Okay, so that's the /n command when you're using prints. Okay, so now let's have a look at variables. So if I do this, by the way, the stuff in the red behind the hash is a comment in Python. So anything behind a hash, the computer will not read, Python will not read it. It's just for humans. All right, so you can really put whatever you want behind the hash and it will work. And if you want to do that on multiple lines, you can use 3 speech marks at the start of your comment and 3 speech marks at the end, and it will comment all of that out and Python won't read it. Okay. For now, we'll just stick to single line comments and we'll have a look at variables. So first of all, let's just have a little thing about what variables are. Okay, so if you think about variables as being boxes, all right. Now, if you were to imagine yourself moving house and you had lots of boxes, you would probably write your name on that box so that when you get to your new house, you can find your name, get your stuff, and take it to your bedroom without any hassle whatsoever. Now, that is basically what a variable is. Right. What we do is we make the computer create a box by writing a line of Python code, and then we give that box a name, and then we put our information in the name, in the box with the name, and then when we want to use that information again, we tell the computer to look for the name. So if you imagine a variable as being a box with a name on, it should be a lot easier for you to imagine or visualize what's going on inside the computer. All right, so sorry, give me a second. I'm just going to do this and then we can write some code. Now what Python's actually doing is it's not a box, it's a place in memory, and it's naming that place in memory and putting the information that you need in there. So if I just give this a name, let's say num1, all right, to represent a number, and that equals, all right, so the num1 equals, that's creating the box, okay, and then it's putting the name on the box. So you've got a place in memory and it's called num1 and it's going to hold something. Num1 is probably going to hold a number, so let's just say number 12. All right, now I can do things with this now. I can call on it, so I don't need to call on actual 12. I can call on the name of the variable. So if I was to use the print command and just call on num1, notice in the print command here I didn't put speech marks because I don't want to output num1. I want to output what is inside of num1. Right, so when I run this here by pressing F5 on a computer or function F5 on a laptop this time instead of doing it on my Python window, you'll see that it prints out what I did before. This is on line 1, this is on line 2, but it also prints out the number 12. All right, so it's printed out what is inside of num1 rather than num1. All right, if I did do num1 like this, it's going to print out the actual phrase num1, because remember, speech marks print out literally what is inside of the speech marks, and I don't want that. I want to print out what is inside of num1. All right, now if I just get rid of this print, and then if we have a num2 and make it equal to 5, I can also make a new variable called ans and equal it to num1 plus num2, and then I can print this, print ans, and then if I run it, you'll see it gives me the answer. All right, 12 plus 5 gives me 17. Okay, this will work the same if I was to put, if I call a one called sub and I make it equal to num1 minus num2 and I print sub, and while we're doing it, why don't we do one called multiply or mult and make it equal to num1 multiplied, asterisks in computer and programming, remember, by num2, and then we can print that. And just for good measure, why don't we do a divide? So divide is equal to num1 divided by, so in program, remember, divides the / num2, and then we can print divide. Right, so now if I run this, I should get the answer to the sum of num1 num2, subtracting num2 from num1, multiplying them, and then dividing them. Well, let's have a look. 5, and you can see here 17, 7, 60, and then 2.4. All right then. Now another thing we can do is, when we're printing this out, I can, in speech marks, say num1 plus num2, close my speech marks. Oh, I put the equal sign first, sorry. Put the equal sign, close my speech marks, and then put a comma. Right, now if I run this, it should just literally print out the num1 plus num2 equals, and then give me the answer. So let's have a look. Function F5, and you'll see here. Okay, oh, yeah, num1 plus num2 equals 17. So I could do that for all of them if I wanted. Okay, so I think we'll leave that tutorial here. Okay, actually no, we'll carry on with this one and we'll add inputs on this one rather than making a separate one for inputs. So we can also set up a variable to, if I use mine, we can set up a variable to input a value. Right, now, all we need to do is tell Python that we're going to use an input, and then also we can tell Python what type of value it's going to be. Is it going to be a word? Is it going to be a number? Okay, so if I call a variable user input and make it equal to, and then I use the keyword input here, you'll see it lights up a different color just like print does. And then I'm going to open my brackets and I'm just going to give a message to tell the user what to do. Alright, so I can say enter your name. Alright, and then close my speech marks, close my brackets. And then here I'm just going to print, I'm going to give a message hello with a comma and then user input. And then close brackets. So if I run this now, you'll see it does all the stuff that I've done before, but it also says at the bottom enter your name. So on in the idle shell this time, I can enter my name. And if I press return, it will say hello Chris, because I've created the user input here to let me input my name with an output message that says enter your name. And then I've printed the word hello literally in speech marks and whatever the value of this user input is. So this user input will be whatever has been inputted here. Okay, now we can do this with numbers too. So I can say user num. Actually, let's go user age, and then we'll have it equal to, and I use the keyword int for this one, and then I open brackets again, and then input, I will open small brackets, and then again a message to tell the user what to input. Enter your age. And then because I open two brackets, I have to close two brackets. See, there's one bracket open here, two brackets open, so I close two at the end. I know it looks a bit odd, but because I've opened two, I need to close two. And then underneath here, I can just say print, and then again I can say user age, and then a comma, and then speech marks, is how old you are. Okay, and then close my brackets. So then here, if I press to run, you'll see it prints out everything before. It's going to ask my name like before. I'm going to put it in, Chris, and it's going to ask my age, and there you go. Okay, now you can also input decimals. All right, so to input a decimal, if I say dec decimal is equal to, and then I'm going to say float input, and then enter decimal number, and then close that. Remember, close two brackets, and then I can print, and I can say dec for decimal. Remember, it's what I call the variable, comma, and then just say and again, if I run it, you can see here it does everything that I've done before, and then it will say enter my name, make one up this time, 66, and then decimal number 3.5. Okay, and it prints it all out. Now what I'm going to do here is just show you how these multi-line comments work. So if I do this and then I do this, you can see all of that gets commented out, and there's stuff under here. Well, I don't want to do that because I'll get an error if I do that there. I'm going to end it here just to show you that if I use these multi-line comments, it will skip everything I've written and just go straight to the line of code. That is the first line of code out of the comments. Right, so you can see here it's got my line here that wasn't commented out, okay, which is here, and then it asks me my decimal number. So I'm going to, at this point, I'm going to use this as, instead of writing a decimal number, I'm going to try and write a name in here and see what happens. Right, you can see here I've gotten an error straight away, and what it's saying is could not convert to string. It could not convert the string that I've written, right, to a float. Right, the floating point number is the decimal, so it will not let me do that. It's the wrong data type. All right. Now, a string is just anything in A and speech marks. Okay. Now, when you use the input command, so if I just say string is equal to, and then I use the input, and then open brackets, and then just change this, enter a string. When I use this command, it automatically changes whatever it is to a string. Okay, so I can use the command string input, but Python will automatically change whatever is just in the input command to a string, so you don't need to. So when you just want to write a word or a number that you're not doing mathematics with, you can just use the input command. If you want to input a decimal, you have to use the float input command. If you want to input in a whole number, you have to use the int input command. Alright, so I'm going to stop the video here, right? And you can go to the class website and go to Python Basics, and you can have a go at the challenges on there. And I've also posted the solutions, so once you've done them, you can have a look to see if you got them right. Alright, any questions? You can see me in my classroom or send me an email.